It's not like a sort of flow, like of an app or a website. It's actually the typical journey. Person leaves their house, they open up their phone, they order the coffee, they go to the bus stop, the coffee comes to the bus stop, they get on the bus. Like, and you're trying to think out what would be the typical journeys and also the touch points for the others. So an order's come through, a delivery driver picks it up, and then, you're just basically mapping out the entire thing, which is what is common in service design, where they're not looking at the specifics of an app, they're looking at the actual full journey.
Yep.
I think Brendan Kearns used to talk about the scenario of design. So the first day is usually about that. I like to add, although it's typically 5 days, you can do it less. And if depending on the size of the problem, if it's small enough, you could possibly do it in 3 days. I think that's the shortest I've ever done.
Yeah, I've seen the trend actually. 5 days is a lot of resource commitment.
For a startup, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. If it's a startup, and at larger organizations, I've really seen it trend towards the 4 and the 3 is tough, but it is possible if the scope of the problem is smaller. So you hit on a ton of great things there. One thing I want to talk about on the how might we's, one of my favorite examples is I think it's in the Sprint book, is Blue Bottle Coffee. So coffee brand, they wanted to do a site basically a website redesign or launch their website. And the core how might we was how might we create an online experience that emulates the in-store experience. So the whole idea was to make a digital version of what the in-person experience looks like. And
that was really important. That was really important for Blue Bottle, because you would go to the store and they'll be like, so what kind of coffee bean do you have? So I was it's almost like a showroom rather than just a typical Starbucks. So they're actually guiding you for the flavor, and that was the feeling they wanted to emulate online, which it's such a strong human interaction. How do you do that? So
and you can imagine, right? Coffee's got to be one of the most saturated markets, so standing out's very difficult. So their value prop as a business was we hire coffee experts. These people are deeply passionate about coffee. They love coffee. They love the beans. They love the story. They love the origin. And that's what they ended up doing with the website. It ended up being a way to tell stories based off, I think you would take a short quiz based on things that you like, and it would help curate what coffee they would recommend based on your tastes. So it was almost as if that person in store was basically helping you pick the perfect coffee. That was this experience that they were building a digital version of. But I love that example because they have all the data to justify, they spent all this time and resources to do it. They launched it and it was massively successful. So a lot of this is is this actually work? I think it always comes down to what were the end results post sprint? Did you launch the product? Number one. Number two is are you seeing whatever metric you care about? Is that improving? Is it getting better? So website redesigns or launches are a little tougher because the scope can be large. But for them, it was more what are we conceptually anchoring the feel of the website on? And that was the scope. So.
But you can for each feature that you work on, you can run a separate design sprint so that you basically create a whole bunch of focused features that fit the scenario or the user journey you're trying to do. A piece of trivia on Blue Bottle Coffee: the first ever coffee house, as what we would recognize, and today was open in Ukraine, in Lviv, and I actually visited it when I was going to conferences and stuff, and it was actually called Blue Bottle, and I think that's where they got the name from, because it was the first ever
that's cool.
coffee house. But it's obviously Blue Bottle in Ukrainian. So visiting that was quite weird. He's like, oh wait a second, I've given talks about a place like this.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite examples. And then the other thing I wanted to call out before is we're kind of in the meat of the day. So if we took a step back for a second, and it's the pre-sprint work, which I just want to quickly touch on. So before you actually jump into a design sprint, I think that if the number one pitfall that people make is not getting commitment from all the right people. So if you don't have the calendar block and all of the key stakeholders accepted, attended, and committed to being there, I really don't think it's the best use of everyone's time, because there'll be holes in everyone's expertise. And that's the whole purpose, Mustafa already kind of hit on this, the lightning talks is to show your subject matter expertise to the group, and then you can basically really make sure you're understanding what the user journey looks like end to end. So when I remember, back a while ago, I was very junior and I was a customer service rep. It was one of my first jobs, And basically, like, I understood the customer's concern because I would interact with them on a daily basis. So in a lot of ways, I was one of the most important stakeholders, even I was the most junior, because I had the most, I had the best knowledge set of like what the problem is that we're trying to solve. So that's the other thing that I would mention too, in relation to like how you want to get the right people in the room, is making sure that you're not just picking the most senior decision makers, but you're getting people that understand the process like end to end. Like, for example, for Blue Bottle, I would have probably got 1 or 2 baristas to attend that because they know the store experience better than anybody.